If you're claustrophobic, this story is going to fuck with you. On August 17th of 2020 in Scottsdale, Arizona, a police sergeant was chilling in his car in a parking lot when he heard a noise that he didn't know would change his life forever. The sound was like a loud screech with an echo to it, which made it kind of sound like it was coming from a tunnel. The sergeant was in an area surrounded by a school, an apartment complex, and a football field. Nothing out of the ordinary, but Sergeant Bingham could tell by the noise that someone was in immediate need of help. So at this point, Sergeant Bingham starts driving around, listening, trying to see if he can get closer to the sound. But being that there's an echo, it kind of sounds like it's coming from everywhere. Sergeant Bingham continues to drive around with high hopes that he'll be able to find out where this sound is coming from when finally the noise started to grow louder, meaning he was getting closer. Sergeant Bingham ended up pulling into the parking lot of a fitness center, and at this point he just knew this is where this noise was coming from. So Sergeant Bingham ends up pulling into this fitness center, getting out, and going towards the pool area in the back. Now, mind you, he heard an echo, which made him automatically assume that this noise was coming from the pools. Now, when Sergeant Bingham gets to this fitness center, he realizes the pools are located behind this 12-foot fence. The closer he got to this 12-foot fence, the louder this scream got. So Sergeant Vincent is 100% sure that someone's screaming for help at this point. So he runs towards the pool area and he realizes that he doesn't have a way in. It's locked. So at this point, he's putting his ears to the wall. He's just kind of listening, trying to see if maybe he hears some splashing or any sounds of that nature to indicate that someone's stuck in the pool. So Sergeant Bingham ends up seeing two cleaners and he runs over to these cleaners and he's like, "Hey, is anyone else here with you? Because I hear a weird noise and I'm trying to find out what it is." So the two cleaners, they just like, "No, nobody else is here with us. We hear that noise too and I don't know what it is either." At this point, Sergeant Bingham calls for backup, which is only 2 minutes away. The cleaners give him the key. He opens up the pool area. Backup arrives and they go ahead and go inside. When Sergeant Bingham got inside, he was confused and I was confused too because there was nobody there. So Sergeant Bingham and his co-worker are just kind of standing there looking at each other like confused, trying to find out why they don't hear anything. Are they in the right area? What's going on? And in this moment, the screaming starts back up. So now the screeching sound is started back up and they're starting to realize there's another pool area further in the back that they missed. So Sergeant Bingham and his co-worker start walking towards that pool area in the back. So they get to the back area, to that last pool. They look in the last pool and they realize there is no one there. At this point, Sergeant Bingham and his coworker are completely confused. Nobody knows what's going on. On this last pool, there were two slides attached. One slide was blue and it had an open top so that you could see whenever someone's sliding down the slide. And then there was a red slide, which was a tube slide. So it was closed in and you couldn't see who was inside that slide. So Sergeant Bingham kind of goes over, he peeks over the blue slide and he realizes no one's in the blue slide. So him and his co-worker agree that they're going to go one up the bottom of the slide, one down the top of the slide, and see who gets to this person first. However, when Sergeant Bingham and his co-worker enter the slide, they end up meeting in the middle. There's no one in there. So Sergeant Bingham and his co-worker are starting to get really tired of just looking around for something that's clearly not there. But Sergeant Bingham decides to take a walk up the blue slide. This is when he notices this beam kind of sitting in the middle of the slide. So Sergeant Bingham, he starts walking towards this beam, and when he looks inside this beam, y'all, he sees something that he would never expect to see. It turns out right before Sergeant Bingham arrived in that parking lot, a man by the name of Ryan Kelly showed up to that fitness center. High on meth, this 32-year-old naked man snuck up the stairs of the fitness center and he went into the pool area where he noticed the support beam sticking up through the slide. Now, where Ryan was standing on that slide, he could see that the support beam was open on the top. Anyone with common sense knows not to go in a metal pipe that's holding a slide up. No shade. I don't think Ryan was using his common sense in this moment. Feet first, he climbed into this metal pipe and he squeezed his body down into this metal pipe. Once he got far enough in this metal pipe, he realized that at this point he has nowhere to put his arms, and so he has to put his arms over his head to get inside this tunnel. So at this point, his arms over his head squeezing into this tunnel, and he's in the middle of this tunnel. He didn't slide all the way down to the bottom. He's so compressed into this tunnel, y'all, that he's literally stuck inside the middle. So his feet's not touching the ground and he can't reach the top. He's in the middle of this metal pipe. Now, no one ever knew if Ryan intended on ever getting out this metal pipe. We don't know what Ryan was thinking in this moment. We don't know if Ryan wanted to cook in this pipe or if he just wanted to take a nap. The world may never know. However, he's in this metal tube in the middle of Arizona, and on top of that, at this time, they were experiencing a heat wave. So he's naked inside this metal tube. He's baking alive. He's literally, he's cooking. So it seems that when Ryan realized he was stuck, he started screaming for help. But he was so high off of the meth that he could not make out his words. So that's why everyone was hearing screeching instead of hearing him screaming for help. When Sergeant Ryan walked over and looked inside of that support beam, he seen Ryan's eyes wide open, arms over his head, looking straight at him, just wanting to be saved. However, Sergeant Miriam could tell that no one would be able to reach Ryan from where he was at inside that tube. So they ended up throwing a rope down to Ryan. However, Ryan was too weak to grab the rope for them to pull him up. After 7 hours of trying to get Ryan out of that metal pipe, they finally brought in a metal crane. The metal crane lifted the support beam up out of the ground, but unfortunately, Ryan Kelly was already passed away, which the autopsy showed was from a combination of his meth use and the heat. So basically, Ryan was cooked alive inside that metal pipe. I feel like this story was really sad to hear. So yeah, I really wanted to share it with y'all. If you enjoyed that story or you want to hear more stories like it, if you have any stories you would like for me to tell, comment down below.